You know, of course, the President of the United States denies all this.
He can deny it all he wants.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the major names in adult entertainment who have been surrounded by controversies and scandals.
But the reality for you was that your face was now known throughout the world.
Michelle McGee. She rose to infamy in 2010 after allegedly having an affair with Jesse James, who at the time was married to Sandra Bullock. The revelation ended Bullock's marriage, but that's far from the most shocking thing McGee has ever done. She also posed for a risque photo shoot dressed as a Nazi. Her ex-husband claimed that she supported white supremacist ideology, which McGee has denied. Bizarrely, she's not the only adult entertainer that Jesse James has been involved with. His ex-wife, Janine Lindmolder, worked in the industry for decades. After their divorce, the two got into a nasty custody battle over their daughter. James won that battle due to Lindmolder having a criminal record, even though she was only convicted of tax evasion.
We've never sat down and talked. You know, that's the one thing that I wish more than anything.
Bonnie Blue.
My content is educational to those that I'm sleeping with and those that are watching it.
She hails from England, but in late 2024, she traveled to Australia for the traditional week-long end-of-school holidays to film content with recent high school grads. Australians were so furious over the stunt that Blue was kicked out of the country. Then she and fellow adult entertainer Annie Knight, who is Australian, hopped over to Fiji to attempt the same thing there and got kicked out of that country too. Blue also claims to have set a world record by having sex with over 1,000 men in one day. Now she says she hopes to double her own record.
It's all the Karens sat at home that are going to complain about me being here that are making me rich because they make it blow up.
Cameron Bay. In 2012, the adult film industry was fighting a ballot measure in Los Angeles that would require actors to wear condoms. Major producers in the industry claimed it was a violation of free speech. They also argued that since they require performers to get tested every 2 weeks, the chance of infections are small. Then in August 2013, Cameron Bay, who had only worked in the industry for 3 months, tested positive for HIV. Obviously, it was a pretty bad look for the business. Filming was completely shut down for 2 weeks while the source of the infection was investigated. Bay has since spoken out about how little protection is given to performers on set. John Holmes. He was one of the most famous names in adult entertainment. Holmes rose to stardom thanks in part to the unusual size of his anatomy. In fact, the character of Dirk Diggler in Boogie Nights was based on Holmes.
What is your problem?
That fame turned to infamy in 1981 after he was linked to the brutal murders of 4 of his associates, which occurred after they robbed the home of nightclub owner Eddie Nash. Holmes was tried and acquitted for the attacks, which remain unsolved. 2003 film Wonderland is based on the events, with Val Kilmer portraying Holmes. The star later tested positive for HIV, but continued making movies without telling anyone about his diagnosis. He was only 43 years old when he died in 1988.
You know, there's a lot more stories like this in Hollywood. Hundreds, thousands, hell, maybe even millions. Kind of makes you wonder what's going on this very minute in any one of those stories.
Tracy Lords.
It would be easier to say Tracy Lords is a bimbo. I mean, that is so typical.
If she looks familiar to you, it's probably because she spent most of her career doing mainstream movies and TV shows.
It's a petition. The zoo wants to separate the gay penguins.
Her work in adult films ended just after she turned 18. You heard that right, after she turned 18. Lords used a borrowed birth certificate to obtain a driver's license and passport that she said was several years older than she actually was. She then used those IDs to get jobs modeling for Penthouse and other magazines and shooting adult movies. When the deception was revealed, none of Lords' employers suffered any legal consequences, since the documents were legit, just inaccurate. But of course, all of the material she produced was seized by the FBI and banned.
Can Tracy Lords erase her past? No. Can she succeed in legitimate show business in spite of it? The evidence says she already has.
Mia Khalifa. This Lebanese-American star's breakout wasn't just controversial. It actually put her life in danger. She became one of the most searched names on adult websites after performing in a video while wearing a hijab.
Why didn't you then say, I'm not doing it?
Intimidation. I was scared.
The move drew tons of criticisms from both Muslims and non-Muslims alike, and Khalifa even received death threats from terrorist groups.
Immediately after it was released, it shattered my entire world.
Ironically, Khalifa isn't even Muslim herself. She was raised Catholic. Since then, she's dipped her toes into a variety of business ventures, including becoming a successful social media influencer. She's also worked as a sports broadcaster, launched her own jewelry line, and done some fashion modeling.
I think a part of it was also rebellion and wanting to do something so out of bounds and so out of character that I shocked even myself.
Riley Reid. She's been a successful star in adult entertainment since she was 19. In the 2010s, multiple publications predicted that she'd be the next big thing in adult content, and she's won more than 50 industry awards. So what makes her so controversial? In 2012, she shared a story on Twitter about losing her virginity in a movie theater with her boyfriend of 4 months. The problem is that her boyfriend didn't consent, and Reed appeared to brag about that point. Strangely, the story has mostly flown under the radar and apparently hasn't affected Reed's career. James Dean. Born Brian Matthew Sevilla, he was one of the hottest male stars in the 2000s and 2010s.
He looks like somebody that I could see at, a coffee shop or something and actually approach.
He gave interviews on major news shows, won industry awards, starred alongside Lindsay Lohan in a mainstream movie, and even gave college lectures. However, that all changed in 2015 when 9 women, including an ex-girlfriend, and several industry co-stars accused him of abuse and assault. Dean denied the allegations even as multiple companies cut ties with him. In 2016, director Maria Demopoulos accused Dean of stealing legal releases from her office to stop the distribution of a documentary that covered the allegations against him. Dean is still performing, though the awards and invitations for speaking engagements have dried up.
He was an asshole. He was a horrible boyfriend, It's not against the law to be a horrible boyfriend.
Stormy Daniels. She probably needs no introduction. In 2018, Daniels, whose real name is Stephanie Gregory Clifford, became an overnight media sensation.
I'm not a liar, and I am not a gold digger. And I did not do this because I'm starved for attention.
The Wall Street Journal alleged that Donald Trump's personal lawyer had paid Daniels over $100,000 to keep quiet about a sexual encounter the two had in 2006. Things only got crazier from there. The lawyer, Michael Cohen, pled guilty to violating campaign finance laws and spent 3 years in federal prison. Trump was convicted of 34 felony counts of falsifying business records but received no penalty.
This is a political persecution and election interference at the highest level in history.
Daniels filed a defamation lawsuit that went nowhere and published the tell-all book. Since the scandal has died down, she's kept busy directing a reality TV show and even doing stand-up comedy.
I like your style.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Ron Jeremy. Even if you've never seen an adult film, you've probably heard the name Ron Jeremy. Despite his unconventional appearance, he performed in over 2,000 films and directed almost 300.
I've been in over 2,500 adult movies.
He also cameoed in numerous mainstream movies. However, in 2017, his off-screen behavior started to become public. Dozens of women began coming forward and accusing Jeremy of assault. In 2021, he was arrested and indicted on 30 counts of assault.
The 67-year-old now faces a total of 28 counts.
After about 7 months in jail, he was transferred to a mental health facility as a result of being in cognitive decline. In 2023, a judge declared him unfit to stand trial. He was released to a private residence, meaning that, like so many other perpetrators, Jeremy will never face consequences for his actions. Which of these adult entertainment scandals did you think was the most shocking? Let us know in the comments below.
No, it was terrifying, but my coping mechanism is humor.